What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Today's video is going to be why are so many children born out of wedlock? Now, y'all already know, give me the HBO special. That's the Help a Brother Out special. Hit the like and subscribe button for more content. Let's get right into the video.
All right, we're going to take you back to a topic that we started talking about before the commercial break when Josh Earnest rudely and deliberately interrupted the Outnumbered program about how the number of kids being born to unmarried cohabitating couples is at a record high in the United States. Okay, Dr. Manny, couples not marrying, shacking up, having babies.
Well, I mean, the reason so many people are cohabitating, and when I have this conversation with men, it's not because they dislike women. It's not because they're afraid of commitment. It's because the laws are so skewed. When it comes to divorce court, no man wants to just get bent over by divorce court. If we're going to do this whole thing where we're talking about equality, then if 40% of the female, or if 40% of households are led by female breadwinners, why is 97% of the alimony given to women? Right? So a lot of men have just seen how disgusting and how disadvantaged they are in the court system. They don't get their children. They don't get their dog. The woman gets to get half the house, half the investments, this and that. So why would a man, if you can get the is the juice worth the squeeze? If you can get everything you want without making the commitment, because women are being told to be promiscuous and you don't have to require a commitment to have sex, not even carry a child all the way to term. Why would a man even want to commit? And the problem underlying isn't even really all of those issues. It's the fact that men are being taken advantage of financially in the divorce system. So let's continue the video.
It's every day in our practices. I deliver babies for a living, and I see this, it's a quarter at least of patients that we see every day in many, many hospitals in the country. Why is it happening? Well, for a lot of times it's cultural. There are many people coming to this country where that is a norm, where people meet, they get together, they want to have a baby, and bingo, they come back here, they don't think about the marriage thing. There are some people that don't believe in marriage, and I think that that's probably a problem. The comparison in the study looking at unmarried mothers decreasing. Well, that's a trend that, of course, has been going on since teen pregnancy rates have come down. So I know the statistics are going down. But this new philosophy sometimes is the way people were brought up, but also is because, in my opinion, the whole concept of marriage, whether it's, heterosexual marriage or homosexual marriage, whatever the case may be, is really something that people are not paying attention. The concept of fidelity is something that is being lost. There was a story in the New York Times the other day that there are buses in France now promoting this website about women, you could have an affair if you're married. And we have that here in the U.S. too. And the French government will all up in arms because, oh my God, under the French Constitution, marriage is something very sacred. Of course, they don't follow it that much anymore. But be that as it may, and people see that as a point of expression, it's not. It's the whole thing is that marriage into itself has becoming more difficult for people to accept, and I think that that's what we see in these statistics.
I think that.
Well, he's talking about, and I get that, right? There's more infidelity than ever before, but that's just because so many people seem to be more selfish when it comes to relationships nowadays. And even when you dive into us worshiping promiscuity, us kind of indulging and being more of an indulgence-based culture, especially when you add in selfishness and materialism, you could just, good night. The American family is suffering more than ever before, and it's because of those things. You talk about infidelity, but then we coach in our pop culture that you should be promiscuous. And not only that, but we incentivize it through policies. We teach women that, hey, there is no risk for being promiscuous. Why would you not be promiscuous? If you have a child, either you're going to get child support or sometimes the government's going to give you money. It minimizes the risk. Why not go and get pregnant if you're a woman right now? And not only that, but the more partners you have, and this is what happens when you worship promiscuity, the more partners you have as a woman, and this is specific to women, the less happy and the shorter your marriage will last. So you add all that in the mix with men getting into marriages with women. Well, they're less happy in those marriages, and they're not going to last as long, and you see 70% of women filing for divorce. It's a recipe for disaster, and nobody's doing anything about it because everybody wants to sit on their hands. Everybody wants to coat their pockets with money from companies nobody's talking about the main problem. If you ever want to see how strong a country is, if you ever want to see what direction a country is going in, measure its nuclear family. Are the people there happy? You see women on more antidepressant medications and anxiety medications than ever before. But yet they're being told that if you just get the bag, if you go get the purse, sis, you'll be happy. You can't find happiness in a man and a child. Why would you ever find fulfillment in a child? The one thing that it seems like life is for. The whole meaning, the whole reason we're here is to do that. And we're being told that you shouldn't pursue family, which is a very strange idea. And I mean, with those ideas out there, you couldn't be surprised. Why are we acting surprised when men are saying, okay, yeah, we're going to call it quits too?
That's absolutely right. And if you look at the statistics, Harris, men specifically are opting out of marriage. I mean, this is a term that's been dubbed by Breitbart as the Sexitists.
All right, so I get into lots of trouble when I pipe up because I was raised by Shirley and Bob, and this is how they raised me.
Oh, Bob and Shirley.
I know. I love them. I mean, it's all about the milk and the cow. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on men to get married because we are much more sexually free society.
Exactly.
In general, if you kind of look historically, well, the 70s were pretty wild. But, I mean,
do tell, Howard.
And that's the thing. When you insert certain things, so she says the 70s was pretty wild. Well, that's because in the 60s, there was something called birth control introduced, right? So, in birth control, it was approved in America and was kind of embraced by some Americans because they believed that it was for mothers. They believed it was going to be used for mothers that have already had too many children and decided they didn't want any more children. Turns out you could give it to teenagers and it prevents them from having children, so they see no point of not going out and just getting freaky with everybody they see. And so a lot of women did that. And not only and exactly in the same time, literally like clockwork, you introduce welfare systems that protect those very same women that go out and are irresponsible, not only because they didn't take the birth control, but also because they're just going out and sleeping with any man they see. And, you get a recipe for disaster. And not only that, but STDs at this time were rampant. I believe, and I don't want to mess this up, so I'll go ahead and pass on it right now. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I mean, it's all a recipe for disaster. And in this time that she's mentioning right now, in terms of the 70s, this was not a great time for Americans. Was the beginning of the decline of the American family. And, when you don't have children in two-parent households, the children are the ones that suffer. So, and that's the future of the country. So good luck in a few years when all these children, 80%, by the way, out of the African-American community that are born out of wedlock. We'll see what happens. Let's continue the video.
I was in grade school, hello. But what I'm saying is, as a society, are we, and it's a question really for the doctor too, are we really at a point where, sex and marriage don't have to go together anymore? Obviously, it used to be part of a song that rhymed, but we've gotten away from that. Guys just don't feel the pressure anymore.
Well, and Kennedy, women have been encouraged to give it up, as Harris talks about, freely with the rise of feminism, have sex like a man. So they're doing this, and they're not making the guy step up to put a ring on it.
No, and they're sacrificing the integrity of the relationship. I think a lot of times, and maybe that sounds judgmental, I also blame Tinder, because I think there are a lot of dudes that don't want to get married, because if you're not married, it's not cheating. Am I wrong?
You're right.
And this is just my final thoughts on the video. We're just going to have to pick a side. We're going to have to choose what we want to do as far as just for policy's sake. I mean, are we going to go modern? Or are we going to go traditional? If we go modern, ladies, that means it ain't gonna be ain't no alimony no more. No more alimony. If you want equality, you can't expect alimony. That's just not how equality works. All right. If you want equality, no more child support, or at least a major deduction of it, or it's gonna be some kind of limit on it. $200,000 a month ain't it. That incentivizes women to go out and try to get pregnant by rich men. And the only person who suffers when women do that is the child. So that means no more child support. Why? Because in 2021, if you carry a baby to term, it is your choice. You have birth control. You have condoms. You have Plan Bs. And worst case scenario, which I do not like, but it is an option, and I do not like it. So for all the people that's going to go straight to the comments and say, no. You have reproductive rights. Again, I'm not saying that I'm for that, but it is an option. So if you're carrying a baby to term in 2021, that is a responsibility you as an individual decided to get into. Now, the man is also a part of that in a sense that he laid down with you, and if he wasn't ready to have a child, he shouldn't have laid down with you, especially if he's shooting up the club, right? Like, I get that. But if you haven't protected yourself, because you're the one that's going to be stuck with the burden. Regardless of what society tells you about single motherhood, it's not glamorous. You don't get to go out no more because you had a child. All them trips that you like to take to Florida on, for $50 or however much that round trip ticket is, those are done. Ain't nobody gonna babysit like you think they will when they say, oh, I'm gonna support you. That's gone. You're now a part of the poorest demographic in America, which is single mothers. And those are the things you sacrifice if you want to be equal. Being equal means you have to be responsible for the choices you make. Being responsible for the choices you make means if you didn't make the choice to be on birth control, but you're going out and sleeping with bums, men who don't want to take care of their children, men who are not ready to take care of their children, men who are not financially responsible enough to take care of their children, then that's something you're going to have to deal with as an individual, because that's what equality means. Equality means we're all responsible for the things we do, and we have to face the consequences as they come. That means the government doesn't bail you out with welfare. Men don't bail you out with child support. Those are if you want equality, like a lot of people say, that means if you hit a man and he puts you on your head, that's on you, because you shouldn't have been trying to hit a man. Those are all modern concepts that if we want this world of equality, that means that you pay for your own meals. That means that you pay to get in the club just like I pay to get in the club. That means you pay for your own drinks. That means when you're on the side of the road and you need help fixing a tire, everybody passes by you just like they pass by me. That's the world that a lot of women are marching for, and that a lot of women say that they want. But when it comes to the time for them to bear the responsibility of that world, they try to play this role as though they want the traditional side. So we just got to make a decision so we can put policies in place so that marriage can be a thing in America, because at this point, the nuclear family is damn near dead here. 80% out of wedlock rate in the African American community, and every other minority group, or not only minority groups, every other demographic in America is on the rise for that same statistic. All this began right when birth control was introduced, and it isn't no surprise to me. All of this stuff started to happen right when welfare was introduced, and it isn't a surprise to me. Till next time.